Hey, welcome to this video. I'm Alex and this is your favorite PTE preparation channel, Dream English. In this video, I'm going to tell you about the 5 tips for Read Aloud in the year 2022, specifically the most common mistakes that you might be making. And if you stick till the very end, I'm going to give you a bonus, a 6th tip specifically for those who get really nervous for the exam and are kind of shaky and don't really know what to do about it. So let's get straight into it. All right, mistake I've noticed in my students in this year in particular is speed fluctuations. So number 1 is speed fluctuations. What do I mean by that? One of the things that PTE is marking you for is speaking in a native-like manner, okay? So when they're comparing your recording to a lot of the sample answers they have in their system, they're looking for a particular tone. If you start reading fast and then slow down, fast and then slow down, fast and then slow down, what oftentimes happens with the system, when you start accelerating, it loses track of where you are in the text. So imagine that as you're reading the text word by word, the system is trying to follow you at the same time to match how accurately you're saying your words compared to the transcript. So at some point, if you start to irregularly accelerate and decelerate, we've often observed that students get a really low score in their speaking or in their reading or in both, because the computer oftentimes loses track for the whole sentence of what you're saying and it cannot catch up until the new sentence. Have a look here at my screen. I'm going to give you a quick demo. So this is what happens. Networking is easy and fun because it taps into this human predilection to talk about ourselves when asked. So they start out pretty fast, then they get stuck on one particular word and they feel like, oh no, I got stuck. Let me speed up to try to catch up. And that's a huge problem. Look, you made mistakes, that's fine. You made more than one mistake, that's also okay. But don't start increasing the speed out of nowhere. So what you should do, you should start with a speed that you're comfortable with, that you can maintain throughout the whole text, which is going to bring me to one of the next points and one of the next common mistakes. Mistake number 2 in Read Aloud in the year 2022 among many students is not just speed fluctuations, but the second one is voice fluctuations. So a lot of us are under the impression, and unfortunately it's not necessarily right, that we have to read like a native English speaker. We have to go up and down with our voice, okay? Because that's what we think sounds nice. If you're reciting poetry in grade 8 to your teacher, of course it sounds beautiful, you know, reading Romeo and Juliet with your voice up and down. The issue that I've observed with like countless students is some of us, or especially girls, have like a really sharp voice, like a really high pitch. And some of the guys have a very deep, very heavy voice. So whenever we start fluctuating and we go, networking is easy and fun because it taps into this, you get the point. So what happens whenever the frequency gets too high or whenever the voice is too low and too deep, the frequency that they're looking for doesn't match the frequency in which you're saying those particular sounds. And you may be thinking that it sounds nice, and to me it sounds nice, but unless you're seeing what is the actual wave, what is the actual like bass or pitch level of the particular speech, and I can recommend some apps for that in another video, you're oftentimes not meeting the criteria that they have. And unusual spikes or unusual drops in your pitch, in your voice depth, or really sharp, right? This is actually a problem. So my advice to most people, don't try to read in a beautiful way, try to keep it a little bit more neutral. Now, I'm not saying you're gonna be reading like a robot like this, obviously, but try to keep it a little bit more steady without going up and down every second word, okay? So that's tip number 2. Now on to tip number 3. Tip number 3 is when people are not breathing and they keep reading like this, now someone they go, Did you understand what I said? Probably not everything, right? So same thing happens to students in the real exam, okay? They try to take a big breath at the start and try to go, networking is easy and fun because it taps into this human predilection to talk about ourselves when asked. Consider successful networking as little more than the process of guiding a person, tell you about his life, what he's doing, the common thing is, and this is a short text. If the text is really, really long, they take this massive breath in the middle, that's gonna affect your score in a negative way. The second way it impacts your score in a negative way, and if I could draw here I'm gonna draw a little bit later, but basically when they start speaking, the voice is really strong. Networking is easy and fun because it taps into this human predilection to talk about ourselves and ask consider successful. So what you'll notice at the beginning, my voice was really powerful and really strong. And if you were to record it on your voice recorder, you'd have like a really thick wave, really thick spike. But whenever you go for too long without breathing, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, 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 smaller. Now to me and you, I can hear your voice. You can hear your voice. You're talking. But then you get your score and your fluency is really low or your speaking is really low. Again, the reason why is when the voice is very thin and you don't have enough air, the pitch again becomes either too high or too low depending on whether you're male or female, and that content is not getting picked up by the system. So please take breaths. It's important. You have to have lungs full of air. You have to have enough power to keep reading consistently in order to make sure that the system is picking up what you're saying. It's not a human scoring you, it's the computer. Now on to tip number 4 and the mistake number 4. This is one of the ones that drives me crazy. Mistake number 4 in Read Aloud is not actually using the preparation time. Not using the preparation time. So whenever I get students who are first-time test takers, or I'm just listening to their Read Aloud performance for the first time, and I put the question on the screen, I give them the time to prepare, and this is what they do. Waste of time. You're wasting your time, and that's going to affect your score in a negative way. Why is that? Well, look, I'm not a singer, okay? So I'm never going to sing on video, I promise you that. But in my mind, it sounds pretty good. If I'm singing in the shower, you know, like, I sound like Justin Timberlake to myself. But if Justin walks in and he hears me singing, our video guy, his ears start to bleed a little bit because it sounds horrible.
Mom, I broke it!
Same thing is probably true for you, even though you might be a better singer. Whenever you read this text in your mind, it sounds like you're doing great, like you're pronouncing things, everything is easy. When you start reading out loud, that's where you get tripped up. And all of a sudden, you start getting stuck on certain words that you didn't think you would get stuck. Because some words are very sharp. It takes a certain, tongue movement, or it takes you opening your mouth more in order to pronounce it clearly. So prepare out loud. Go, okay, networking is easy and fun because it taps into this human predilection. Check which words are difficult. Practice those words. If all of the words are hard, you can go a little bit slower. If the text is overall easier, you can increase the speed a little bit, but remember from tip number 1, keep it consistent. Mistake number 5 is some people focus on accuracy too much or on fluency too much, but not on both. And that's a mistake. We have to find a balance. So what I mean is this. From one of the previous videos, you may have seen Justin's going to put it somewhere up here or here or here or here, or you can check it in the description as well. We talked about how the system marks your content in Read Aloud and how the marks go to your reading. So that's going to affect your accuracy, how clearly you say the words. Are you skipping words? Are you missing S or ED or ING and things like that? Are you mispronouncing them? The second component is fluency, you reading continuously and smoothly and non-stop. So a lot of you practice on different websites, which is fine, but when it shows you the percentage, let's say, you're focusing too much on accuracy and you go, networking is easy and fun. So you might get 100% accuracy. That means full marks in your reading, but you're gonna fail your speaking. This is too slow, this is not fluent. Other people are so focused on their speaking, their fluency, they go, networking is easy and fun because it taps, but they tend to miss words, mispronounce words, add words, skip words. So their fluency is great. Their speaking score is always 90, but they always fail the reading section. So you have to find a balance between your speed, moderate to moderately fast, and your accuracy, at least minimum 70% or 80% and above. Or if you can balance a moderately fast speed and above 90%, that's even better. Now wait. I have one more mistake, one more piece of advice, and that's the bonus mistake number 6 that I notice in students. Whenever we check mock tests from our platform or just the ones that students do in general, they tend to get very confident by question number 3, 4, 5, and 6. but question 1 and 2 are a complete disaster. So read aloud is the very first question in your speaking. If your first 1 or 2 questions are a disaster, you've already lost 5 to 6 marks in your speaking, and you've already lost 3 to 4 or even 5 marks in your reading. So you cannot afford to only start performing and be confident halfway through your read alouds. But you might be thinking, look, I get nervous and I'm shaky and I can't control my anxiety or whatever that may be. So here's my last piece of advice, probably the most important, okay? Whenever you get to the exam, you test your microphone. Before you start your speaking section, you have some instructions on the screen. So they tell you like about the 4 sections and the timing and so on. What I suggest, if you feel like your voice is a little bit shaky and your breathing is like too quick, you can't really calm down and get it together. You don't need to start right away. Don't feel pressured. Imagine like the instructions on the screen is your read aloud, and just warm up your vocal cords a little bit. Warm up. For example, let's suppose that this is one of the lines in the instructions. It's not, but let's just imagine. And I'm nervous. Look at the text below. Look at the text below. In 35 seconds, you must read this text aloud as naturally and clearly as possible. Okay, let me try that again. Look at the text below. In 35 seconds, you must read this text aloud as naturally and clearly as possible. Do this a couple times. Read 1-2 sentences, 1 or 2 paragraphs until you feel relaxed. You're calm, okay? You feel confident. So when you go to read aloud, when you start the first question, okay, you're not nervous anymore. You've already done this for the last 3-4 minutes. So you can perform to the best of your ability right from the start, okay? I hope this is helpful. As always, guys, we never put ads in these videos. Click like, subscribe, leave any comments, and check what are the links with any promotions or any specific offers or specific new platforms that we offer in the video description and in the pinned comment. So this is it for this video, guys. It means a lot to us and to our team if you click like right now and you click subscribe. This is how we know that this video was valuable, that it helped you, and especially your comments. I personally read every single comment and reply to as many as I can. And the best news is whenever we share free tips and advice and it works for you and you get your score and we get good news. So leave a comment, like, and I'll see you in the next video.